Hello, 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 and welcome to the second New Testament Bible Cal Live. So I am coming to you from a vehicle. So please bear with me. I know the lighting isn't perfect. Nothing's going to be perfect. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can hear me, let me know. And let's see. Can I leave a comment? Yes, I can. And there's the comment. Well, hi, Lottie. Can you hear me? Please tell me you can hear me. Yes, no, maybe so. Thank you. Okay, so today is the second live. Hello, Catherine. Welcome. Um, so I have posted a link there. If anybody wants to join me up here, you're more than welcome to share what you got out of the reading, talk about your they're not exactly squares, your little peppermint pinwheel thingamajiggers, or yeah, or whatever. So we should have read, including today, up to Matthew chapter 7. And so I will start off. I love reading the New Testament. And I have a huge binder here, and the lighting, I'm doing the best I can. I will do better. I did bring a battery-powered light. Unfortunately, I cannot find it. So I don't know where it is, but I will find it by next week, I promise. Okay, so Matthew starts out with a genealogy. Now, I must admit that I generally skip over this. I don't skip over it. I do read it, but I kind of skim it because it's like I've always felt like, it's not that interesting. Why do we need to know all this? But I realized that if it wasn't important, it wouldn't be there. So I did read it, and I wonder what the significance is of 14, because it's got to have a significance somewhere. So I'm going to keep that question at the forefront so that I can come back to it when I see it again in the Bible. So let me just highlight that question so I don't forget that I am trying to bookmark it. I didn't bookmark it earlier, and I should have. Okay, so the next thing in chapter 1 that was important to me was that I want to keep track of all the names. Every name in the genealogy has a meaning which flows together into an amazing prophecy. Okay, well, Catherine, the link is there if you'd like to come up and join us. But the second thing in chapter 1 was that I want to keep track of, this time reading through, just keep track and make a note of all the names that we have for Jesus. So in Matthew 1, he is called Emmanuel as well as Jesus, which of course means God with us. So that was the next thing that I wanted to keep track of for my own studies. So then Anything else you want to say about that? I don't see that you're trying to join, so I'm guessing you don't want to come up here, which is, okay. Okay, so then I will go on to chapter 2. Chapter 2, I don't know why this stood out for me today, or not today, but, when I read it, and that was how threatened Herod was by a baby. I mean, if you think about it, he was so threatened by a baby that he went and killed them all. I mean, I understand it's what the baby, symbolized, but still, it was a baby. And then another note that I made here was that they were given direction on to flee Bethlehem, right? And by an angel. And when I read these things in the Bible, I can't help but say, man, I wish I could have such clear, definitive direction. I know that we have a free will, and I know that if we listen, we do get direction, but I can't say, other than the one time that it was so vividly clear that I needed to pull off the side of the road and not continue driving, that I've ever had that clear of a vision or an angel visit me. Okay, Lottie says, kings have been known to kill their own flesh and blood. Also, kings have considered themselves gods. That's true. That's very true. Okay, and Catherine says she can't get on with her phone. Did you copy the link or click? You should be able to click the link, I think, and it puts you in the waiting area. The wise men came by hundreds of seeds and put off Jerusalem and put all Jerusalem in a frightful uproar. That's true. That's very true. Steeds, on powerful steeds. Oh, come on. They didn't come on seeds. They flew like a magic carpet. Okay. It's really not a joking matter. Okay, and then, when the angel told them to leave Bethlehem, they said that they would let them know when they could return. But it wasn't safe for them to return until Herod died. That probably was a long time. I don't know how long it was, but for him to die, it must have been a long time, right? Okay, anything else you'd like to say, either of you ladies? No? Okay. So going on to chapter 3, it talks about John the Baptist. And the thing that really struck out for me, well, there was a couple of things. One was, I understand why Jesus needed to be baptized by John the Baptist. But why didn't Jesus then baptize John the Baptist was a question, because the one thing I find is that I read the Bible and I always have questions. Anybody who's ever been in a Bible study with me can confirm that fact. I have a lot of questions. But the other thing that stood out for me, and was, can you imagine the sight of Jesus when he was baptized and raised from the water? I mean, the heavens opened, The Spirit of God descends as a dove, which I think it's interesting. It's always a dove that is symbolic of God. And then the voice from heaven. Wouldn't that have been a beautiful, absolutely beautiful sight to see? It's hard for me to fathom that picture. I mean, I know what the picture is, but it's hard for me to imagine just how glorious and how overpowering and that must have been. For anybody who was there, that had to have been, even for John the Baptist, that had to have been a sight that was so great. Anything either of you two ladies would like to add about chapter 3? Okay, moving right along. Chapter 4. Now, I love this chapter. We're just getting started, so I'm just getting started on the I love this chapter thing, but I love this chapter. I love that Satan keeps coming back and trying to tempt Jesus. Now, initially, Jesus responds with scripture that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. So then the next time Satan comes to tempt Jesus, he comes with his own verse to, I don't know, give his argument weight, maybe. I don't, who knows? I mean, really, I can't even imagine. But then again, Jesus comes back with another. You shall not put the Lord your God to the test. I don't know that honestly that I've ever done that, but I do know a lot of people who have done that. And it always was interesting to me that they thought that they could test him and that he would, I don't know, come through for them or whatever. And then the next time Satan comes to tempt Jesus, it's like, I read and I'm like, really? What does he really think he has that Jesus needs or wants when he already has it all? I mean, maybe not on earth, but, after his death, he knew he had it all, and before his birth, he had it all. So the fact that Satan thought he could tempt him just I don't know, it's kind of amazes me. It amazes me. That's the thing I want to say. Then what Jesus says to that is, "Begone, Satan." Now, I have used that specific 3 words myself on occasion. And there is a song that CeCe Winans put out where she sings about this, telling Satan to go, that he has no power here. I love that song. But anyway, then of course he goes on to say, it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. And then of course, I had another question. Why was it so easy for the fishermen to just drop everything and follow Jesus when he suggested that they do, And yet so many people today cannot do that. And even those of us who do follow him don't necessarily do it right away. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, you hear about Jesus, oh yeah, I'm going to follow him and drop everything and just do it. I'm sure there maybe are some, but very few. And yet the fishermen, all four of them, he says it, they drop everything and they follow him. I think that's amazing that they did it in those days. And the question is, why don't they do it now? Another question. Any comments? No comments on chapter 4. Okay, moving on to chapter 5. Chapter 5 did not really speak to me a lot. Not like the first 4 chapters did. Chapter 5 talks about who's blessed. There is one, the very last sentence, I think, of the chapter where it says we must be perfect as our Heavenly Father is perfect. Now, of course, none of us meet up to that. None of us are perfect. We're far from it. So, and yet Jesus knew that when he said it. So, was he giving us a goal to strive toward? Okay, anything you'd like to add on chapter 5? Chapter 6. Lottie says, let's see, hold on. Hold on. Boy, I must have delayed reaction here. Catherine says, they come on powerful horses, not camels, from a powerful country. They were trained by Daniel to look for the great king to come. That's true. Lottie says, we like to think that Jesus was a baby, but he was a toddler when the wise men came. You're right, he was. I'm assuming years did not go by before he passed, before King Herod passed. And then you are correct, Catherine. Catherine writes, Herod died soon afterwards, so he didn't live very long. Okay. See, you learn something every day, don't you? Lottie said, I did not know that, Catherine. I learned, so did I. Catherine says, the gift of the wise men would have helped Mary and Joseph to relocate, although I think myrrh was used for burial. You know the word. Lottie says, yes, it was. I thought the gifts were meant for Jesus' journey here, ending on the cross. Yeah, it seems like, I don't know. I'm not going to address that. Specifically for that, she wrote. Well, Terry, why did you accept him and not others? It it does say, wait, it does say that Dunn will have ears to hear and eyes to see while others will not. That's true. Oh, it does. Yes, it does. It does say that. You're right. You know, when I was in college, I took a class on religion. I was already a Christian by that time, but I did take a class on religion where we studied many different religions. But none of them really appealed to me. I thought that they were interesting. I thought some had things in common with Christianity, but, and I was raised kind of sort of Catholic. Like, I won't go into that. But anyway, so, but when I was saved, I needed something greater than myself. Uh, I don't know how else to explain it. So that'll have to do for today. Okay, moving right on to chapter 6. I put this question, I know the answer, but just to put it out there, was because it says that he knows what we need before we pray, should we still pray? Of course we should still pray because he likes for us to ask him. Plus praying means praising as well. Boy, my thing is jumping. Okay, so let's see. Anybody want to answer that question better than me? No? Okay, chapter 6. So I was really taken aback by this chapter. It was really interesting to me. And the thing that kept, now, frequently I read a chapter more than once just because I read it the first time through, and then I usually read it a second time through to make notes, and then sometimes I will read it a third time as well. But every time I read this chapter, the thing that popped up for me was about anxiety. And I thought that that was really interesting. I mean, I know people who are treated for anxiety with medications, other people who have anxiety issues, but I've never considered myself to have anxiety until very recently. And so uh, lately I've been going through a few things, planning for this trip that I'm on, and I have noticed that I have been anxious about it. Before leaving for the trip, I was, yes, excited because I've planned this for, close to 2 years. But suddenly, right before the trip was to happen, I became very fearful. and anxious about it. Was I ready for this trip? Was I going to survive? Was I going to be okay? Was I going to network well? Because I'm really a very shy person. I'm not, I'm not the person who stands in the line at the grocery store and starts a conversation with someone. Although, for those of you who follow me regularly know that I did travel across to Delaware and back to California, and I had no problems. But the situations were a little different then than they are now. But anyway, so the bottom line was that I realized that I have been anxious. There have been things caused me anxiety. One being one that's mentioned, how was I going to eat? Because I don't have cooking facilities in this um, vehicle that I'm in, like I did in my RV. So that was something that came up for me. How am I going to eat? Am I going to be okay? Can I do this? Sometimes you got to jump off and trust, have faith. And I have lots of friends who always tell me to have faith. All my friends tell me to have faith, especially when I question myself. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not questioning God. I'm not questioning his ability to take care of me or watch out for me, because I learned my last trip that he is with me always and will take care of me when I need it. So, and it's not a fear factor like I'm afraid I'm going to run into somebody who can cause me harm, even though I don't walk well. And this trip, my wheelchair, I did bring it with me, but I cannot get it out of the vehicle, so I have to wait until I'm where people are that will help me. So I've been walking a lot by myself and hurting, but surviving. And never been afraid that someone was going to try to harm me. So, you have anxiety about some things, but you don't necessarily have anxiety about all things. Huh, I didn't know I could do that. Huh. Okay, so chapter 7. Chapter 7, I had trouble making notes on. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it was the day. Some days are easier than other days. And depending on the day, I think depends on if something speaks to you or doesn't speak to you. But I had trouble with chapter 7. So I did write ask, seek, and knock, because those are the things that I think are important. We need to ask for what we need to seek him, and we need to knock. And we need to answer the door when he knocks. And the one thing that did speak to me is, again, an anxiety. Will culminate in an anxiety. And that is that I never want to go there. And I think that I think about this often. I never want to get to heaven and be the person that Jesus looks at and goes, I never knew you. No, I don't want to be that person. I really don't. So I don't know. So we did have some discussion today. I appreciate you ladies being here with me. Now I will share my pinwheel. I am still working on the same color scheme. I don't know if, let's see. Well, yeah, hold on. Now with the light, and I can never figure this out. Can you see the glitter and the black now? Yep, the black has glitter. The other part of the pinwheel is my um, yarn that I have collected in the last 2 or 3 years. Sorry, the last 2 or 3 years with my subscriptions, and that is what I'm making my pinwheels with. I am really excited. I am liking it. I I love the cush. It's cushioning. And then this is the back. So I am delighted. I have two of them. I actually have four of them, but there's only two here with me right now. So unless you ladies have something else to say, or yeah, unless you ladies have something else to say or share, I went to had to drive all the way to Arizona to find a Hobby Lobby. I did bring yarn with me, but I volunteered to do a test while I'm down here, so I had to go get yarn for it because I did not bring enough of anything to do that. So I first I typed in Google yarn shops, nothing came up. So I went to Walmart and bought the yarn that I needed to do the test, and then was driving down to a beach yesterday and passed a Hobby Lobby. So I had to go back to Walmart this morning because, I make a list before I go to Walmart and I always leave without getting everything I needed. So I had to go back again. I think I've been like 3 or 4 times in the last like 2 days. Hopefully I'm done now. But I took the yarn back to Walmart while I was there, and I went to Hobby Lobby and I got the yarn I need for my test project. And I picked up this book specifically to use in this for this, and it's called The Illustrated Words of Jesus for Women, a Daily Devotional. So here is the book that I got. Wow. So I got this book for us to use. Now I could start at the beginning. Oh, well, we're kind of at the beginning, aren't we? On just January 9th. So I'm going to go to January 9th reading and read that instead of my normal blessing for today. The verse is Mark 2:17. It said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." So that is your verse, and the devotional says, do you hang around with people? Oh, well, I guess it's not a devotional. Do you hang around with people who are like you? People who believe like you do and have the same standards and lifestyle? Now, I will say the answer mostly is no, but, well, maybe my family is not saved, so, I'm with them a lot because I live with them, so that's why I say mostly no, but I do spend time with people who are like me. I spend time on the phone. I go to church regularly. And what I find is that those people and church, Bible study, any activity that I participate in along those lines where I'm with other believers is recharging for me. It helps me to stay focused. It helps me to remember what my goals are and what I'm supposed to be doing. And so there's the answer to that. Okay, be honest. Do people who are different kind of scare you? Do they make you uncomfortable? Of course, you believe that all people need to hear about Jesus, but do you secretly hope that someone else will tell them? I don't think, because I've been the different person, I don't think that different kinds of people scare me or people who are different scare me. And yeah, so that would be my answer. You guys can answer these questions if you like. What would it take for you to get out of your comfort zone a little so that you can be a living example of Jesus, love and care to those who need it? I think that every day I get out of my comfort zone a little more, and um, I hope I hope that people can see an example of Jesus' love and care, um, to not only those who need it, but in me. I hope that I do that. Then there's a little thing here at the bottom of the page that says the Great Commission is not an option to be considered. It is a command to be obeyed. And Hudson Taylor said that. And here's my page that I read to you. Now, again, it says it's a coloring book, but I don't know if you can see that. Well, you can see that it's black and white. So there we have it, everyone. May God bless you all today and every day. And unless anybody would like to say some final words, may God bless you all. And I will see you in the next one. And thank you again, ladies, for showing up for me today. And I hope that God will bless anybody who watches the replay of this later on. And yeah, so with that, I've been on 40 minutes, which is a long time, I think. Maybe not. But we covered what I wanted to cover, and I don't see any new comments coming, which doesn't mean that they're not coming in. It just means I'm not seeing them. So again, thank you, ladies. Have a good night. Have a good rest of your week. Try to stay on schedule. Work on your wheels or peppermint wheels, whatever. And I will see you next time. All right. Bye now.